Hi everybody, welcome to the stream. I hope everybody's doing well. So today we're going to be doing or finishing the refactoring and working on the Thunder Orb ability, finishing that Thunder Orb ability so we can finally move on to more of the monsters in chapter 4. So let's get started, shall we? So I actually got everything building yesterday. So one thing I did was run all the tests afterward, and there was actually one test that failed, surprisingly. No, excuse me, 3 tests that failed. So we're gonna take a look at the failing tests here and see what happened. So they were all enchantment test failures, so let's figure out what happened there. Also, I'm gonna brighten this up for a second. Just a little bit, okay. So yeah, let's start with pooling poison enchant check. Okay, so these are gonna be interesting, right? Because they would, these are all enchantments which usually have effects tied to them. So somehow us changing enchantments somehow affected like the actual code related to these enchants. So first we have a check that says we expected 910 but we got 925. Monster should have lost an additional 15 health from lingering pool poison. So let's take a look. So this is the assert right here, and it tests against the monster's health pool in that we are given a ring with the pooling poison enchantment. We spawn a monster, cast the ability, wait for the bullet to spawn, and then we test to see how much health was lost. And then there's supposed to be another tick, and in 2 seconds it's supposed to have lost an additional 15 health. So why didn't this work is the question. It's kind of interesting, right? Why didn't it work? So pulling poison, if we pull up the enchants real quick, we have a file that lists all enchants, and we go to pooling poison, throw poison. This is for the witch class, causes the splash effect to linger for, in this case, 10 seconds, dealing 100% attack every 2 seconds. So the every 2 seconds thing is interesting, right? Because here we call game update 2 seconds. So presumably, once the bullet is spawned, we wait 2 seconds and see what the health of the monster is. Now, I wonder, let's first just run it again by itself and see if we can replicate it, right? Maybe there are side effects of other tests running on top of this. So it would be nice to know that this consistently fails. And it just finished running, so it looks like it still fails. And we can also pull up the logs to see if anything weird appeared. I don't think anything weird should have appeared. Yeah, this is all just initialization code. No big deal. So with that in mind, that is not the problem. What is the problem then? We're gonna have to debug, right? So we expect when we call game update in 2 seconds, like the effect should have like ticked, right? So we can look at the poison pool code next, because I have a feeling this is where we're going to find a problem in the first place. So in here, every tick, damage timer gets reduced by F elapsed time. If damage timer is less than or equal to 0, the poison pool does damage. So we're going to now see if that occurs by, let's breakpoint right here, because that's where we expect it to happen. And then let's go ahead and breakpoint, well, let's just do that first, right? That way we know at least it ticks. If we don't breakpoint there when we run it, then we know that it's not triggering, and then we have to figure out why it's not triggering. Okay, So I just reran it and we didn't break point. Kind of expected, honestly. So let's figure out why. Let's start by going into the update loop and going from there. I think that's a great starting point. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to Tuesday. So inside of game update, we call on user update, which is what we're going to run here to do basically everything. And since this is a new unit test failure, then something we've done recently with just the standard shared pointer stuff actually messes with it. So that's kind of surprising. So we're gonna go into where effects get iterated on, which I think should be under global game updates. So let's go in here. Let's look for anything related to effects. It's entirely possible that it's under game state as well. Like, that's what I'm starting to think here. So maybe we have to go under there. Let's go to... We're going to be under the run state, I think. I forget what it's actually called here. Run game? No, it's not. Well, that's not the file. Let me see here. Let's look up our states. We're under state game run. That's what we're looking for. And we would expect that we will end up in on user update under maybe update entities. That would be my best. Oh, there it is. Update effects. So we expect we're going to end up in here. So let's see. We do breakpoint to right here. So let's go inside of here and see what happens. Let's just see what a elapsed time passes, right? So get elapsed time returns 2 seconds. So 2 seconds are going to pass by on this game tick. So we're going to go in here under update effects. Oh, and there's a lot of stuff in here. Okay. Right. So in here, it would be a, let's see, we got 2 background effects and 200 foreground effects. Presumably these are like particle effects. And then the background effects, one of these is probably the poison pool. Probably this one, because we know it's supposed to last for 10 seconds. So in here, let's just check. Let's see, this is... So the original pointer... Oh, there it is. Well, there's an image name, so that's recognizable. So we know that is indeed the poison pool right now. So we're going to be in background effects. And we're going to, of course, end up calling update. Did I miss something? Well, I guess that was the first one, right? Okay, effect. So this is not the poison pool. This is an expired effect. So we're gonna skip that one. Let's just go to the next iteration. So this one should be the poison pool. So we end up in the update function for it. So this is under effect update. Interesting, right? Because we're in here, but it should not be calling this one. It should be calling... Oh, I see what's going on. At least I think I see what's going on. This didn't dispatch up to the child classes update function. That's why. So we have a bug in that regard. It should have went to here, because that's what it is, right? It's a lingering effect? At least it should be a lingering effect. That's the thing. Like, maybe it's not. Right? That would make sense. Let's just see about creating one of these, because I think this is like... We're starting to notice there's the start of something wrong here. I feel like it's an inheritance issue. And what did we do with effects recently in terms of inheritance? I know we basically added comments that said, hey, in most cases call effect update in your overwritten function. So let's just look at lingering pool real quick. Lingering pool. So lingering pool is actually not in here. Oh, excuse me, it's poison pool. Poison pool. That's also not in here. Why is it not in here? Oh, it's just lingering effect, that's it. So under lingering effect in effect.h, let's see here. We have a virtual bool override final, right? So it should be dispatched to call this function right here, but it's not. That's a little strange. I wonder why. Because afterward, it should call a fade in out effect update here, but it should have went through all these lines first before anything else. Instead, it just went straight to there. So I wonder, it should be creating a lingering effect. Let's take a look. Let's just restart it, and it should call that constructor. When we cast the ability specifically, so it does call the constructor. And let's see what got... I want to know what the passed in image was. Like, I don't see why. Maybe I have to... Okay. Oh, it gets passed into here? Wait, hold on. I'm a little confused because it just says const standard string ref, but it's not showing me what the value of it is. But presumably the image gets assigned here. It just says unable to read memory right now. I don't know why. Oscillator. V2D. V2D. Anyways, when this is done... Okay, there it is. The poison pool.png is there. So this is considered a lingering effect, which means lingering effect update needs to occur, but it's not. Because it sounds to me from these that if these are effects, that it should be able to call the child functions of them. In theory. At least that's how I thought the inheritance would work. Content is used... What does this mean? Content in this from include effect.h is used in this file and transitively included. Okay. Transitively included. I see. I'm glad it tells me that now. So this is virtual and it's been overwritten. It shouldn't be directly calling that one, right? Unless... Oh, did we add the wrong type? Let's see where we add this, right? Because we add this under witch. So let's go to the witch real quick. And we're looking at the throw poison. So... it would be under poison bottle, and poison bottle would create poison pools. At least I think that's how that works. So let's look at poison bottle here. Can we? Okay, poison bottle. Now we have on ground land. Let's take a look at that function. On ground land. Okay, so this is where we add... Aha! So there's our issue. We create an effect instead of a lingering pool. So it's been basically degraded. So there's our issue right there. That looks like a bug and actually got caught, which is interesting. So before, we made like a... So the code before probably made a pointer that was made like a lingering effect object, but then captured it as an effect, right? So when we copy pasted, that probably was why that happened. Okay, I mean, that would make sense. So yeah, we were adding the wrong type there. It just kind of worked in that sense. So let me see, is this a normal effect? This is, yeah, 200 particles. That's the 200 we saw in the foreground. Looks good to me now. So that fixes that. So I bet you these other tests that failed are of a very similar vein. We probably referenced them as effects and didn't realize that it was going to cause side effects. Like, again, it was supposed to do something here, but it was probably, again, created as an effect instead of... In this case, it would be like a soul or something. So let's take a look. So this is for the Reaper of Souls enchant, and every time we collect a soul, the player should have healed some health. So again, there must be something going on to prevent this. So the way this works is when a monster dies, it spawns like a soul. So that's where we're going to be looking here. Probably the on death function. And we're looking for anything that spawns an effect. At least this is where I would put it. Okay, here we go. So this does create a monster soul, so that's actually correct. Okay, before we proceed, let's actually verify the other test is now fixed by running it. Now let's just run all three of these real quick. Let's see where we're at. So we probably fixed one. I can't imagine the other two would have been caused by this particular issue. Like, we have to fix more stuff to fix the other two tests. Cannot convert from initializer list to lingering effect. Oh no, that's interesting. Okay. This is telling me that this was designed to be created as an effect, and then here is where the lingering effect gets created. I see. If additional bounce count is equal to 0 and has enchant pulling poison, then it creates the pulling poison. So to me, that's when it would actually appear. Like, this isn't actually supposed to be a lingering effect. This is just throwing the poison, do damage. So something's wrong here. Like, we create the lingering effect, but the update event doesn't get called. One thing I noticed is we couldn't find type information in here. So I wonder if we're gonna have an issue with doing that. But I know for our UI elements, we do call like parent components and such, and they can execute their parent functions correctly. Like, these two are virtual, so we would expect that they would actually be called up the stack, up the, like, parent tree, if there is an appropriate update override, which this should have. This is another virtual function. I guess you could remove virtual technically, because we're not deriving it further, or maybe we are. It's parent of fade in out effect, which then is a parent of effect, and it also has an update override. So the override is cosmetic, but it should mean that we are creating it properly. So that's weird. Like, why would this suddenly occur? Like, we're clearly not going in here. For whatever reason, we're going straight into effect.cpp. So we can try this one more time. I really don't know why. Okay, let's think about how we add this actually. Is it because we're adding it as an effect? Oh, that must be the issue. I think we're losing, like, we're purposely slicing the object going in? Because we're making the pointer outside of it, aren't we? Alright, let me think about that. Let's go to effect.cpp. So we recently made a static function to add an effect into the game, right? Is that right? Should be. Let me see. No, it's under game. Game add effect, right? Okay. So let's take a look again. So these are our values for effects. Okay. So I'm starting to think that we're actually losing the type information. Hi there, Moros. Because it's considered an R value? I don't know, that might actually be an issue that I haven't considered. Because the make shared here is make shared supposed to be the specific type. I think it has to be. If we make shared a normal effect, we lose the type information. So I think what we have to do here is turn these into template functions such that they generate add effect functions that keep the type information. I think that's the way we're gonna have to go in order to circumvent this, because right now I'm basically object slicing these, and unless I know the type info through like an effect ID and recasting them back up, we're just calling the base effect stuff now, so we lose all the inheritance. I already have a headache. Alright. Yeah. So I think it's safe to say this is going to be one time where templates are going to save us. So I'm going to take these two functions because headers, or excuse me, template functions have to be defined inside headers. They don't actually exist as functions. They are simply blueprints for functions that get generated by the compiler. So they have to belong in headers. And I guess we're going to put them in, say in here. They're going to be public. So we're going to have two functions called add effect. Let's make, let's add template, type name T. Okay. And then we'll have the compiler generate these functions where it replaces effect with the appropriate T, type T. To be fair, I just got off of Streambuff/iOS implementations. Yeah, fair. But yes, welcome. So, with these in mind, now, anywhere that we call add effect should properly... Let's see here. So, for example, for the poison pool, it should come from the... let's look at... What were we looking at? Poison bottle would generate a lingering effect. So the question is, does this now generate a lingering effect, add effect function? It looks like the template properly works. We can see now the parameters are lingering effect here, lingering effect, and it will add it to the entire list of... So I think the type information is now kept. So my hope is that we're actually running the right function now. So I'm going to rerun this unit test. Like, basically we broke some unit tests because we lost inheritance. And we should be able to get into this update function now, which is a child class of the fade in out effect update function, which is also a child class of the effect update function. Yeah. And I think it's because... yeah, because these are just shared pointer effect, they will accept anything that is derived off of effect, so we don't have to actually change any other code. I was worried that was going to be because I was using an R value, but I'm like, that doesn't really make sense. We are actually object slicing by doing this. Now, if I was Amy from like 2 years ago, and we look at like the menu component system, I would have probably tried to do it as another macro. Where's add component? Which would have been very ugly. Oh, I ended up turning it into a template, actually. That's good, actually. I'm glad I did that. This used to be a macro. But no, wait, we do have a macro for the template function, though. So it's actually still layered with something. I think it's just called create menu. If I go to... oh, actually it's right here. It's called add. Which then calls the add component template function. I think it's because I just want the... what do you call it? The members to show up? Yeah, so that's always fun. But yeah, I think the point was like this right here. I would have to type standard make shared whatever, and then I would get all the parameters, but I'm like, that's just a lot of boilerplate, so I wanted to remove that aspect by making it just add key component type with another parenthesis, and then that works too. So yeah, you can see it's just literally typing out stuff I would have had to type. Oh, for sure. But that means we're growing, right? It looks like I have a compile error. What happened? Am I seeing this right? Where's the error? Non-selection, please. The current window. Where's the error? Not the error. Oh my goodness. Wouldn't it be like error colon? It would be like error followed by some like C code. There it is. Return cannot convert from TY to standard weak pointer trail effect. Okay, so I think our template just failed. Let's take a look at trail effect.h, line 54. Okay, so... wait, what? Did it not open it? Come on, Visual Studio, don't be... alright, it's gonna be done with me, I guess. Let me restart real quick. So I guess I can close this other one. We're done with all that today. Or yesterday. Huh. It doesn't want to pop it up. Like, do I really have to open this myself? Is it gonna be that stubborn? I don't see it anywhere. Oh, I found it. Okay, it was literally right next to me. On one of my monitors. So, line 50, I think it was 4 or 1. Oh, in here? Under the oscillate? No, that doesn't make sense. 51. I'm confused. Let me build. Hey, do you feel your pulse in your head when you work out, get stressed, or meditate? I do a lot of very intense Dance Dance Revolution. I can't really say I feel my pulse unless my heart is beating really hard, which does happen occasionally. Alright, well, these all appeared here, so that's good. So, okay, so it goes back to add effect, which makes sense. Like, if we think about, it can't convert it, right? So what I'm wondering is it because we're passing effect here that it loses type info? Like, once it gets to here... Oh, no, wait. I think it's talking about converting to a weak pointer, right? Let me see. So we go from... I think outputting, we just return a weak pointer effect. I'm just trying to think... Because normally we would dynamic pointer cast it. But coming out of this, these are all just shared pointer effects. So we can return a weak pointer effect, we would dynamic cast it back in if we needed the type information. But then again, I would want the actual type, so why not dynamic cast it inside of here? So dynamic pointer cast. Not normal cast, pointer cast, please. To whatever t is of this value, because right now it's a weak pointer of type effect. So whatever we get, let's dynamic pointer cast it out, and that should fix that. I think that's all we have to do there. In my head, maybe if I'm like really pressured, but I would say no in general. Like, I'm just trying to think in the moment, and I can't really remember a time where like my head is just severely pulsing. That usually only happens like when I get super sick. And have like a extremely severe headache. Okay, hopefully this compiles. Probably, yeah, that sounds a little concerning. Like, for a normal day of exercise, even if my heart intensity gets really high, it's not really pulsing through my head. Like, I definitely don't feel that. The only thing I might feel in my head is if I forget to hydrate and I start getting severe like headaches because my brain is just lacking hydration. That's the only thing I think of for my head when it comes to exercise. And I would say, relatively speaking, I am very healthy and active, so I don't think I would be too far off, like, a good subject for any issues when it comes to health. Just waiting for the compile now. It looks like the templates are actually compiling now, so I think we did it right. Because I was thinking back to it, I'm like, okay, well, we can't... These are holding effects, so the dynamic pointer cast would be responsible inside of here coming out. Yeah. In general, being dehydrated is a very bad... It has bad outcomes, so... And it's an easy thing to fix, so... Thankfully. Okay, looks like we're built. Let's go ahead and run these again. That might actually solve all of our problems, because my guess is these rely on like some kind of effect. And so if the effects aren't going up the child tree, then we're not getting the right results. So that's probably what was happening. So let's see if these tests pass. And then of course we'll probably try every test after. Yeah, if anything, I need to drink a lot of electrolytes if I'm doing a long session. It's very cardio intensive, and at the end of the day, like, if I run out of electrolytes, I just start cramping up and having a terrible time. Unresolved external symbols. Okay, I mean, this is a template, right? So... I wonder why this happened? And it's specifically saying it's for the return type standard weak pointer struct effect. Which is interesting. Here's the headache I was predicting. Okay. Hello, Ambit Coder. I'm using C++ and a little library framework called OLC Pixel Game Engine. It's kind of the same premise as SDL. You get a graphics rendering system with some keyboard and mouse input, and then you kind of draw things to the screen. It's more focused on like drawing pixels stuff, so it's more suited if you're gonna do a lot of like retro stuff. Okay, write its name? Sure. It's called the OLC Pixel Game Engine. Yeah. I really like it. It's very simple, very fast going, and just lets you get stuff on the screen. That was the whole premise of it. I'm just trying to think if there's anything obvious that I'm not quite getting here. Because it's complaining about both of these, so it's like, okay, template. Let me think a little bit more about why this might be. Like, obviously, to generate these functions, we have to include the header, right? But typically we include the header for this, so it should exist. Like, why would we have an unresolved external symbol for these template functions? It's like it can't link them? Doesn't know what to do with them? Or is it like... do they have to be inlined? Is that what we're looking at? Like, is it possible there are like multiple versions of it, so we have to inline them? That's what it's smelling like to me. I don't quite understand why the link would be the issue. You can also do this in Windows 10? Oh yes, definitely. I think nowadays Pixel Game Engine requires at least C++ 17, so as long as you're running that, you should be fine. And Visual Studio 2026 definitely comes with C++ 17. Because I think if you use 14, you get some compile errors. At least with more recent versions of the OLC Pixel Game Engine. But the Pixel Game Engine itself is compatible on multiple operating systems, so it really just depends on what kind of OS you want to run and what toolchain you want to run. 20 is going to be the hard requirement for PG3. I mean, that's very fair. How do you make a 2D game map editor for your own game engine? I mean, I would just start by making it so Like, at the very least, you just have a playable character running around and just pressing, like, space or something to place down tiles, and then you kind of expand it from there. Like, let's say you make number keys to change what tile you're selecting, right? Maybe you end up making, like, a tile selection system, and you just, depending on where you click it, you determine, like, which grid you selected, and then store tile IDs that way, like... But, I mean, yes, this is more like, if you're trying to make an editor, then that's what you're gonna have to do, of course. I mean, it's really, like, up to you how far you want to go with it. But, yeah, the fair answer is don't just use tiled, right? Like, tiled does all that for you already and saves you the pain. You just have to get something to import it. Like, I'm trying to think, like, you can get pretty detailed with it if you wanted to. I don't know if this is already on my computer. It might be. I'm just gonna pull it up real quick. But, like, you can get pretty fancy with it if you really wanted to. Let me just see if this is in here by chance. Ooh, it is. Okay, let me look at this real quick. This is called the Tiled Collision Editor. It's just something I made recently to edit, like, the collision boxes of tile. Where'd it go? It literally just was here. Where? Okay, let me just clone real quick. See what happens. Do 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 do. You want to really? Yeah, that's fair. That's what most, like, if you're learning, you definitely should try, right? That's how it goes. So again, also Pixel Game Engine. I don't know if it comes with the resources, because I think this uses a tile set thing, so I need to... I don't know if it's gonna read it or not. Oh good, it does. I mean, like, again, you have to kinda... Oh good, we have like a sample. How does this work? Okay, cool. Why is it called copy? But yeah, like, whatever you're doing, if, like, it's however far you want to take it, right? Like, you can make a little editor like this if you wanted to, and for this it just actually displays the map and lets you edit, like, the collision boxes, as you can see. But, like, that was the idea behind all this, and then you can make, like... It just depends on how detailed you want to get, right? I actually don't know how to use this thing, but apparently it's working. I just made a rectangle. Oh, I see. I think this is to move and edit these. Okay, that makes more sense. I'm relearning how to use this, but yeah. Just like... Again, is this an undo? Oh, I'm impressed. I made it undo. Well, I guess undo, conceptually, is not very hard to do, as long as you do your data structures correctly. But yeah. In the Pixel Game Engine, there is something called, what is it? Something view. Oh, transform view. So if you have a project, like if you're making a map editor specifically and you want controls to like zoom in and out and pan, transform view is really good. It just conceptually moves everything you would draw around based on a relative camera. Yeah, push and pop off a stack, exactly. At first I'm like, oh, that's pretty impressive, there's an undo, but then I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure it's actually a lot simpler than I imagined. Yeah, there it is. A DQ? A DQ? Wait, why is it... What is a DQ? I forget. A deck? A DQ? Double-ended? Oh, maybe I wanted to, like, navigate it or something? Right? Because that lets you go up and down? Fast insertion and deletion at both beginning and end. Insertion deletion at either end never invalidates pointers into the rest. The deck? Okay, deck. This is Windows 11. Good to know. Just random data structure I totally forgot about. But yeah. What are we doing? Okay, so it looks like I have a build succeeded. I'm excited because I guess I fixed it by accident. At least well, let's see. It was trying to link the second portion, so let's see if this actually works. It looks like that was the fix. So the fix was to inline it. So I guess we had multiple definitions and then the linker was confused, right? Because we had like 12 or 13 all pop up. So I'm just like, does that mean we just have multiple definitions? It looks like that was the case. So I'm hoping that actually was the problem. For a beginner, how do you start with C++? Oh, nope, we still have it. Never mind, I lied. To start, I would first go to... Well, before, like, do you have any programming experience? Because if you have no programming experience, I would start by learning, like, the concepts of programming. You can do that pretty easily with, like, the free course, like, CS50 Harvard. But if you have programming experience and you just need to learn the language, then learncpp.com is a free resource that a lot of C++ folks recommend as a good starting point. It literally just goes through everything about the language in kind of an order of complexity and relevance. Yeah, so if you know C#, you could probably just start with Learn CPP. It literally just teaches you C++ and how to use it. And also, I would look for... In this case, if you're going to use the OLC Pixel game engine, it's probably a good idea you learn how to use the engine. You can... Oh, that's Korean. You can see a lot of the functions for the OLC Pixel game engine in the header, like they're in the comments. It even includes an example project near the top, or an example code. So you can be like, okay, if I just want to get started, literally this entire comment block here is what you need to put, and you run that and you get pixels. Then you look at the API. If you go a little further down, you'll see all the core functions in the header here. So you can just take a look at stuff. Every program's gonna have onUser create an update, kind of like SDL has a initialize and a game update and a cleanup, right? Same kind of deal. Here's all your ways to interact with keyboard and mouse. And since you can see all the API up here in the front, like here's all your drawing functions, you can start playing around with these. When you get stuck and like you're like, okay, well, I don't know how to make a VF2D, that's probably when you start looking at reference code. So I would look at some of Javid X9's videos as well. He is the creator of the OLC Pixel game engine, by the way. There's a channel called Javid X9. He is the mastermind. Oh, hello. Hello, Casey. Here's Javid X9, and he is the creator of the OLC Pixel game engine. So if you're interested in just getting some inspiration, or you want to see some code or how to use it, he's got videos on a lot of that. So you can go look at that too. Oh, and yes, the guy who's speaking right now, Moros, he created a little place you can go online called PGE Tinker. Casey, you beautiful boy. Alright, so this is like your online editor for PGE, Pixel Game Engine, where you can just code up stuff and then run it live just to see how it works. So you can just play with stuff without needing like an IDE, right? So in this case, I had a little box that can go left and right and just play with some keyboard input stuff. Yeah. Thank you. Hopefully that helped a little bit. I'm just like, whoa, Casey jump scare. Yes, yes. Alright, so back to figuring out this error. I'm trying to think what else this might be. Unresolved external symbol for an effect. And it just says effect, it's not like any other types. So I'm a little confused. Add effect. Are we not passing? Okay, I mean, we're passing these as T's. Maybe it doesn't know what this... Does standard move not know what it's... Like, this is a template too, right? Do I have to pass the type name into here? You think that might fix it? But it's not just complaining about this, that's the thing. It's complaining about the generic add effect too, so it has nothing to do with this part of it. I mean, this would help, but it's not gonna... I think it can infer that. I'm just a little confused right now. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, Morris. Enjoy having dinner. Or making dinner and then enjoying it. Yeah. See you later. Yeah, I'm a little confused right now, for sure. Unfortunately, Linker doesn't tell us exactly where... Oh! Okay, never mind, I lied, it does. Okay, that's good at least. I'm like, it doesn't tell us where we would be looking for this stuff, it kinda does. So... in general, I'm seeing... we do have more effects than this, I will say that much. Arrow, Blizzard, Snow Emitter... I think there are more effects than this, so the fact that... or is it? Let me see. The fact that it's only in effects is a good sign that it just doesn't understand something about effects, and not necessarily that we broke something else. So these are all the effects, at least they should be. I don't see the Zephyr one, which is interesting, right? Because there is an error for Zephyr. Zephy, excuse me. Zephy is one of the bosses. It has its own AI code. So let's go look at Zephy real quick. And it says... ooh, hold on. Okay, so is it because of... well, what... okay, let's think about this. So... I resolved for like something like Zephy, and it wouldn't actually be this, I don't think, or maybe it is. I'm so confused. I really thought it would be this simple, but I guess not. Okay, let me think about some more, right? If these are templates inside of this class, does that make... does the whole class have to be templated in order for this to work? But if it's a templated class, then we're gonna have an issue with multiple versions of this class existing, which I don't think is the right choice. What if I made these just static functions? Like, I completely got rid of the fact they were member functions, member template functions, and just said, put them out here as actual global functions. I wonder what that would do. I also noticed these are backwards. I don't think that matters. But then again... like, this depends on this, right? Like, they're kind of generated in a pair. So, what if I just combine these two? Like so, right? It looks like that you have to specify both anyways, but they come in a pair. I don't think changing the order makes a difference at all. That wouldn't make any sense. But maybe if I change them to be globals, maybe we'll get something out of it? Yeah, it looks like we're dealing with a template issue, though, that... I'm just trying to think how we would resolve. So it's like... what would be the cause of the issue, right? It's like, surely including the header file multiple times in different files shouldn't matter. I think the template only gets generated once per compilation unit, if it didn't exist already, and then it goes from there. So I don't think that's the issue. And it's the linking process that we're having trouble with, not the compile itself. Which annoys me a little bit, because that shouldn't be the case. Okay, what if... So let me think about this. What if we insert them as just make shared effects, and then we dynamic pointer cast them afterwards? But I think if we do that, we lose data or information, I think. But they are pointers, so let's think of it in terms of a pointer. Sorry, on your Discord server, can we also ask questions? Oh, yeah. Of course, because it is my Discord after all, so... I definitely keep an eye on it. It's like, I actually have notifications on for it, so... If you want to chat with me more, I am there. Of course. I'm starting to think that might be what we have to do. It's just kind of weird, it's a linker error. It's like, okay, I see it says 3 errors, but the 3 errors are like not here. So it does say function definition for add effect not found. Why does this list keep jumping around? Okay, hold on. Not found. Function definition not found. Oh, hold on. What is this? Did I just leave this here by accident? Like, I left these there? Oops. Okay, maybe... I guess that's the problem, is that it didn't generate these as templates because of that. Okay, that would explain it. Okay, so maybe this fixes it now. At least, I hope it fixes it. Oh, I wish the comment would appear. Does it have to be above it? Okay, it has to be above it. Alright, let me try rebuild. You know, this would make sense if, like, we had the function declared up here, and then we tried to have a template down here. It's already created and satisfies effect, but we need the other version. That just seems like a really confusing situation, yeah. So maybe that is correct. And that would explain why we have had linker errors, it was looking for the actual definition of that function. It probably just ignored the template stuff, honestly. Okay. I think I understand what happened now. That should not be a thing. That should exist, and it does. I don't know what it's getting at, but yeah. Alright. Silly. Let's look at the next thing we're gonna have to do. Assuming we're gonna get these tests fixed, today the goal is to actually do the thing we intended to do by changing the effect structure to use shared pointers. Is now we can store a weak pointer to each of our lightning entities we create, and we can actually like modify them. And if they get destroyed at some point, then we don't have to worry, because they will, at the very least, like, we can control them from here. Like, basically, oh, errors. What do we got? Okay. No matching overloaded function found. Okay, so now we actually get the... Did I move them out and not... They're still there, right? They're just templates? So now it's just saying no overload found. Okay. But this is the game class, so... I'm a little confused. Like, this function should exist. So it's saying that neither overload worked. Like, is back optional? Oh, back needs to be optional. By default, like, I forgot about this. So by default is false. It should be a foreground. Or is it true? I forget. Let's look. We had a deletion around here. I assume this is where it was. Yeah, I forget which one was default. It looks like default background is true. Okay. So I'll go ahead and do that. We probably could have looked at it from here, actually. Oh no, background by default is false. So in the other function, oh, I see, because it makes a background effect. That would make more sense. So background by default is false. So that would fix those errors. The link's not working? Oh, you know what? I think I know. Thank you for that. Let me see. That's actually good to know. Like the one on my Twitch? Oh, on YouTube. Okay. That's fair, that's fair. Let me see here. I could probably fix that. Let me just set this real quick. Yeah, so I think on Twitch it works because I've had people come in, but you might be right about the other one. So I appreciate that. I don't know why it says inactive when it's active. Oh, I see, I see, I see. Yeah, I'm just gonna real quick go over here and check. Because it's probably just the wrong link. Probably an old link. What I used to do, and what I still do, but on a higher scale, is make it so the link actually expires after a while. That way if, like, something bad happens and, like, it gets posted someplace that's high profile and won't get, like, super ugly and spammed. So at least I have a little bit of control over that, but it was a lot more restrictive before. So I do have to remember that. And usually if somebody tells me, then I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a sign they actually care and want to go in it, right? So thank you for that. Alright, Discord. Yeah, that is old. So this one should be the one that works. Let me just confirm. Okay. Cool, that one does work. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that. We should be good. But yes, thank you. Alright. I think we're good to go. There we go. Yay! Well, you're in the right place. And yeah, if you have like questions or you want to reach out to me, you're more than welcome to. I love helping people learn programming and just discussing programming. It's very fun. Alright, so now we have a problem with this. Like either the parameter's wrong or something. Let's take a look. So it's complaining that there's no matching overload. Attempting to reference a deleted function. Okay. Why would Blizzard not be available? Let's see. So we got... Oh, there's an overload. I assume the overload one is for the pause. So we got pause, radius, lifetime, damn it. Like, I assume this works, like, Is this the only error? This is like the only real error. Attempting to reference a deleted function. Let's see here. Compiler has generated blizzard here. So... Function was implicitly deleted because a data member invokes a deleted or inaccessible function. So this is not copyable, I guess is the question? Why would it not be copyable? Well, I guess we have const members. That makes it not copyable, right? But wait, didn't it say there were 2 overloads for this? Or am I going crazy? It says there is an overload for this. Why would it say that? Does that mean there's only one? Like, I'm confused why it would say there's more overloads when there clearly wasn't. But yeah, if everything's const, it's not copyable. But why would it be copyable, right? The copy... Let me see. Where would we copy? I mean, we call make shared. Is this where we copy? Because if that's the case, let's call a standard move. Then we're not copying anymore, right? Okay, let's try that. I don't think we should be invoking a copy here. That's a little strange. Hi there, so this is an action-adventure RPG. Think of like something akin to like Secret of Mana for the SNES. Kind of like a SNES retro action RPG. Yeah, it's the kind of game we're making. And quite a bit of it is done. There's supposed to be 5 chapters in the game, and we're currently working on chapter 4 stuff. Right now I'm in the middle of a very strange refactor, so we're just cleaning up little bits and ends of it here now. But we'll be back to working on more actual gameplay stuff pretty soon. At least that's the hope. I've been saying that for the last like week, and we've had other maintenance things we had to do, mostly related to a bigger project, right? The bigger a project gets, the more there is to manage, and sometimes you have to do other things instead of actually making gameplay stuff. Yeah. Unfortunately, modifying that all makes it so I have to recompile the whole thing, because it all relies on something from Adventures in Lestoria. Also, recompiling template functions just means it pretty much has to recompile everything. Just a side effect of template code generation. It looks like the same error occurs though, so it's not that. For some reason, it's trying to reference const blizzard and instead of associate constraints are not satisfied. Yeah, like for some reason it doesn't. Let me come. Okay, hold on. We do call effect, right? The effect constructor, yes. So that should be fine. Like, I can make all of its members non-const, and then technically the Blizzard copy constructor should work again. I want to say that is the reason, but I'm not entirely sure. It's just kind of strange. Like, that's an enum. That's a unique pointer. Alright, let's try this and see what happens. Unless environmental audio is not copyable. Which might actually be the case. Where is this? Environmental audio. Alright, initialize. It's got a destructor. If it's got a destructor, do we have to roll a 5 here and make our own copy constructors then? Everything here looks copyable though. Now I gotta think. Like, I'm trying to figure out what the actual issue here is. It's saying... Because obviously it can determine that the type for the template is Blizzard, so it's trying to create that, of course, using standard make shared, and then saying... ref count object. So ref count object is the shared pointer. So it could be construct at the associated constraints are not satisfied. And again, the constraint was a data member invokes a deleted or inaccessible function. Unique pointer. Okay, so the unique pointer, Blizzard snow emitter. Is it the snow emitter or is it the... Let me see, is the snow emitter not copyable? Oh, everything's const here. So, in theory, right? That would mean we couldn't copy this, so I have to... Because it'd be like transferring the unique pointer, right? Unless I made an explicit copy constructor that standard moves this to the new instance, and I don't really want to write that by hand. So I think that's the case here, where that needs to be copyable. Maybe not necessarily this. Mr. Toadster, thank you for the follow. We're currently in template hell. Gotta love it. Story of C++. Yeah, that seems like the gist of it here is the standard unique pointer, right? It needs to be moved. I think I have to handle that. Actually, now that I think about it, yes. I think I have to handle this. So either way, I can't win. I don't think it invokes move automatically. Which kind of sucks, but I mean, that would make sense. But if this is const, right? It can't change on a copy. Okay, you know what? That makes sense. A move... So a copy constructor would replace the elements of the previous object, right? With new stuff. That's like the way it automatically copies. So if this is const, it can't replace the value. And so this is stuck being whatever it was, and if it's a unique pointer, is that an issue? Well, I guess it's a move, right? A move from a different Blizzard to the current Blizzard object would mean I can't replace it. So the move couldn't happen. I guess that's what I think that's what it's complaining about, after all. So let's try that. Let's make the unique pointer non-const, and then make sure nothing in here is going to stop it from copying as well. So this is copyable. This looks like a copyable object. Everything is non-const. I think everything else should be okay. I mean, if we really want to, we would non-const these as well, right? I'm just gonna do that for now. It's a little confusing, but... I don't know if we can have const correctness and still have copyability. Like, is that how this works? Does an object become uncopyable the moment any of its members are const? Because I'm trying to think how copying works under the hood, right? You only have, well, you have a new object, or are you replacing an object? But that should be the R value copy. That's what I'm starting to think. Like, you have an object established and you're trying to do the R value copy. Oh, it's Plasticky. Plasticky posted kitty. Hi, Plasticky. Welcome to the stream. Drink water. I mean, fair. I actually have orange juice, which has water. Lots of kitties. Aww. I'm just trying to think. Okay, so let's say we have a class A, and we have it has an int in it, right? Int B, or I guess number. And let's just assign it something random, right? So naturally, this class should be copyable. We can create a new instance of A, num1, and we can create another instance of A called num2. And let's say we changed, let me just make this a public member, and let's say we changed num1's number to like 6. And then we copied num1, num2, or num1 to num2. So num2 equals num1. So that's copyable, right? Now what happens if we do this? Now, the object is not copyable. Oh, also this is const, so it can't be modified, but it's also not copyable anymore because it got deleted due to having a const member. Orange juice is not water, but orange juice has water. Logic. Hey, May! Hey, it compiles though. That's what we want. Okay. So yes, that is the case. Any member, even if it's like a primitive member, once it becomes const, it's uncopyable. So now that we're compiled, let's try a link. Maybe it'll actually work now? Yeah. And I think that kind of explains why this was complaining. This template cannot be used if we have to copy over something, because the copy constructor no longer exists. Don't make me call Diamond! What is Diamond gonna do? Diamond's gonna do the same thing. Just enter my chat and then start yelling at me, right? Same thing. Okay. This is good news. I think we're finally linked and compiled. Are we... Did I not hit debug all tests in view? All tests have been filled. Oh, I deleted all of them, didn't I? Or I went to errors. So let's first test the ones that failed. It was like poison pool test. What else do we have? Oh, crud. I didn't like write them down or anything. Pulling poison, Reaper of Souls, and there was one more, but I know these two failed before. So let's just try them now. And let's see if they end up passing or not. Okay, so good news. We actually breakpoint into the child classes. Oh, why are you way over here? We actually breakpoint into the child classes update function now, which means we're actually executing the correct stuff. So this test should now pass, and it does. So you can see here. So that's good news. Do the other tests pass now? Okay, cool. So we're getting passing tests now that we've corrected the inheritance issues. So this would have been... Honestly, I would have not realized this was a bug if I didn't have unit tests. Once again, unit tests kind of save us for realizing we had a kind of sneaky bug. The sneaky bug being that we were essentially object slicing right here by creating effect pointers when they were pointers of different types, so we were losing information, which is called object slicing. And so because of that, they would be treated as effect objects instead of whatever the upper child class is, which means overall we weren't getting all the functionality our game required. So thankfully some of our unit tests detected that, so we could fix that. So I think everything's good now. I am going to run every unit test because we have to make sure the whole game is functioning now. And then we can submit this and start thinking about what to do next. So this is a bug fix for add effect, or not add effects necessarily, but the effect struct container refactor. Let's actually reference the commit as well so we know what we're talking about here. So it was the prior commit inside of the Skeleton Fire Mage branch. And yeah, it was this one right here. Apparently it's... apparently this attempted to run for 19 hours. I don't know why. That's interesting. It either queued up or actually ran for 19 hours. That's hilarious. Anyway, let's copy this and just paste in here. So reference, ref commit, whatever, commit hash, and then let's just say what the bug fix was. So created templated version of add effect to reintroduce class hierarchy, conversions for the effect pointers, inside the effect containers. Okay. But yeah, I'm just glad to see we ended up fixing that little bug. And then today, let me actually close some tabs. We got a lot of tabs open. We're also going to look at the Thunder Orb. So we're back to the Thunder Orb, and our objective with doing all this was we're going to track each little, like, lightning emitted lightning bolts and making them point towards us. Like, if they're near the player, then it should, like, zap towards the player. I think that would just look better overall. So for each of these hurt targets, when we create one of these and emit them, we're actually going to grab all the effects that the lightning bolt emitter creates, which I think we can do. It's just we were trying to figure it out earlier, how are we gonna like store all of it? Because we're gonna end up calling like draw lightning bolt, right? And draw lightning bolt is going to create an effect, and then that effect has to be like tracked or something. So we were thinking about, okay, well, let's see here. So let's go to the lightning bolt emitter. Lightning bolt emitter. And inside of here, we look at draw lightning bolt. And it adds 2 effects, right? So in an ideal world, these lightning bolts will now point elsewhere. So we have to modify, or we have to keep track of the lightning bolts and say, okay, these are going to be updated to those new positions. But in order for that to happen, these effects have to be known, like have to be kept track of, if we want to adjust them in any way. So we're gonna need a lightning bolt emitter function that will say like change lightning bolt targets. I think that's a good name for it. So let's open up the effect. Actually, the emitter file is what we're looking for this time. The emitter file has all the generic classes for emitters inside of here that uses the iEmitter class, which is an interface. These tests should have passed. Okay, good. So I'm gonna go ahead and now run all the rest of the tests and just make sure this build is good to go. We have no more issues with the new refactor. And while that's going on, we're gonna go ahead and start writing this code. So I'm just gonna make sure it's building and running before we start modifying stuff. Okay, so it's running those tests now. Alright, so let's add a function. We'll make it public. Change lightning bolt. Let's call it current lightning bolts. Active lightning bolts. Let's say change active lightning targets. And let's just provide a new position. New pause. And then all the current active lightnings effects will now target them. So now we need to do two more things. When we call add effect, we're going to grab the pointer and we're going to store it in a list. And as this list builds, it's going to have a lot of dead lightning bolts because they're going to die. So every time we emit, I guess at the same time we can clean up the list with any dead markers. I think that's a good way to do this. We don't really have to check like all the time in an update function, just when it emits. We can keep the list kind of clean. We could populate the list forever, but that doesn't sound very resourceful. But we also know a lightning bolt emitter doesn't last forever too, it has a lifetime. So maybe just letting it populate as long as it's alive wouldn't be a bad idea. But what if an emitter emits like 100 particles a second? You're gonna easily get a container thousands in size. So maybe that's not a good idea either. And we could even predict how large the container is going to be. If the frequency is consistent, then that means we're only spawning X amount of particles every second. Now, for the lightning bolt emitter, we actually spawn multiple effects in one go, so having an expandable container is still a good idea. Because we don't know predictably how many iterations it takes to reach its target position. We do have a maximum, but yeah, I think the best bet is to just stick with a dynamic container that we clean up every once in a while. So standard vector, and we have to store weak pointers containing these effects. Like so. So lightning bolts. Let's call it active lightning bolts, right? Active lightning bolts. And then we said that whenever we emit, we're going to clean up old lightning bolts. So we're going to do standard erase if. And let's use ranges. Let's just use a little more modern. I think we have an erase if for ranges. Surprisingly, we don't. Does that just not exist? I'm kind of surprised it doesn't. Standard erase. Okay, I mean, fair. I was kind of expecting it in the ranges library, honestly. Ranges. Oh, right here. Ranges, empty view, ref view, owning view, filter view. Well, these are all view functions. I was looking for more like the... Well, I guess the standard ranges contains view functions, so that would make sense. It's only for like filtering and such. But if we're going to dynamically modify the container, we have to use something like standard erase if instead of getting like a view. So I guess that makes sense. So we're erasing from active lightning bolts. And these are only weak pointers, so we're not actually touching the data of the shared pointers, so we're not gonna like break anything by doing this at any point in time. get a standard weak pointer out of this. This is an effect pointer, and we're just gonna say return if pointers expired, which returns true the moment it's shared. All the strong refs for it no longer exist. So far so good. So now that we have that there, let's make a function, or let's make this function that's going to say, okay, take all the currently active lightning bolts and change their active lightning targets. So now this is allowed because we have shared pointers instead of references, which could become invalid at any time, and so we have had no way to make sure any of the lightning bolts we were changing were actually valid. So now we can say standard, we're gonna say for each, but we're only going to adjust a very specific subset of items. So we're actually going to take the active lightning bolts as the container, and we're going to, I guess in this case, if we wanted to use for each, we're gonna have to store them. So I'd rather use a for loop, I think, in this case. So we're gonna grab any weak pointer that is active. So we're gonna say, I'm gonna call it active lightning bolt. And the reason why I want to filter it is because we can make it so we're only interested in the stuff that are non-expired. So we can use a pipe here to use a standard views filter function, which then lets us specify which ones we don't want to keep around. So in this case, we don't want to keep anything that has expired. So pointer, and we're just going to return if this is a not expired pointer. We're only interested in active pointers. So the filtering function would look like that, and then we only get non-expired active lightning bolts, so we know for sure they're valid, so we can immediately do a lock on them. And from there, we can then say, well, we're gonna have to figure out what to do with that, because I guess we're gonna have to set the pause. How long have you started developing this? Well, I developed the game, not the engine. But I guess technically, since it was a framework, I did develop the engine. This project was started about 3.5 years ago. So you could say around there, right? Most of the engine stuff is done now. But yeah, it's been about 3.5 years going for this project. Pretty long time, right? I don't know why this isn't... Do we just not know what a weak pointer is? I guess we don't. That's kind of weird. Or I would expect it to know. But let's include memory. Maybe that will help. Do you not like us? I guess it doesn't like us. I'm a little confused. Surely, like, the compiler knows about this, maybe? Maybe IntelliSense is just behind, right? But anyways, under effect, we're gonna have... Let's see. Can we get the effect class or struct? Okay, let's put you over here. The effect struct has a pause, so we're just gonna adjust... I don't think we adjust the pause, actually. We adjust something else. Because it's like... We're supposed to create a line going from a position all the way out. And we, like, do some mathematics to figure that out. We figure out an angle, a distance. We adjust the angle. Then we set the position to actually be... Let's see. At the edge of this. And then... I guess we adjust the angle to point away from it and a size. So that's interesting. Oh, there we go, because the size is going to be the length, right? That would make sense. So this is probably referencing the size. Indeed. So that's how we're doing this. So the size stays the same, the angle changes, and thus the position will be updated to accommodate for that. If anything, I'll probably just have it redo all of these calculations, because that would make sense. If we're trying to figure out exactly where we're supposed to position this thing, it's just using some math to alter where it is, so I might as well just recalculate. Yeah, so like I said, 3.5 months, or years, 3.5 years. I will be able to show it, sure, in a little bit. Actually, I can show it pretty much now because the tests just finished. They all passed. I'm gonna go ahead and make this commit real quick, because we are good there. And we can take a look at it real quick. I didn't write any code that's gonna break anything, at least not yet. So this is release build 13031. Going to our diff. Okay. Yeah. Pretty much. It's been 4 years since I started on it. Off and on, I didn't work on it every day. Like, today is day 400 something of development, right? So clearly I didn't work on it every single day of those 3 years, which is fine, you know, pace yourself and whatnot. I'm building the game now, so... Are you loading textures upon adding effects? I use a... Not necessarily... Oh, we do have some errors though. Okay. Effect is not a valid template. Let me get rid of these. So I actually use just a lookup map for textures and load everything on startup. Essentially we have a file and some rules related to graphic names. Like, for example, every graphic for the monsters has to be named the same name as the monsters. That way I can easily grab those. So some textures have like rules. So like if I look in the monsters folder, we can see most of these are named directly after the monsters themselves, whereas other miscellaneous graphics that might not necessarily be tied to anything are just listed via name. And I just load everything up on startup. Do I recommend STL? I'm not a big fan, but a lot of people use it, so it's gotta have some credit. I think STL is not quite up my alley. I like being able to manipulate individual like pixels. And you can with STL once you are able to obtain the texture data and stuff, but it's not like set pixel, right? It's not quite like that. So I'm already a little against it for the fact it's not as simple as it could be, but that's for my own use case. I think STL serves its purpose for what it does. Also, there's a lot more backing to it. Like, it's a larger community, right? It's got more support. It's being actively developed by many maintainers. Just OLC Pixel Game Engine. Like, I'm part of their community as well. It's much smaller compared to other more established libraries and frameworks, but it's definitely a more, like, hobbyist feel approach to it, which I like. I think that's very fair. Why can't I compile? Unspecialized class template can't be used as a template argument for template parameter. Expected a real type. What is going on? Am I just... Oh. Do I... Once again, it doesn't know anything about weak pointers. Okay, that's what it's been complaining about. So let me include memory here, and then that should be bleeding into here, so I don't need this. Okay. So... Just include order for release mode tends to be a little different. Same problem? Standard weak pointer effect. Oh, we don't know anything about effects either. I should be able to forward declare in theory. In theory, right? I don't know if that's possible for, for these templated pointers, but we'll see. How do I make them? So for the most part, we go ahead and get our assets from other places. Like, I think my game designer found some from itch.io and paid a little bit of money to retrieve them. So we tend to do that. First, I was developing a lot of the game graphics myself, especially in the early days. And then I realized how much time and tedium it takes, so I eventually got a pixel artist friend who I've known for a while to do it for a fee. So, like, a lot of these earlier graphics I did do myself, but I ended up offsetting it, because, like, even something as simple as, like, this, which is, like, the bare minimum, a couple frames of animation on one monster is, like, oh, that's tedious. And this was only for like two sides, like one facing side. So it's like eventually I wanted monsters to have like 4 facing sides, and I'm like, this is gonna be so much pain to do myself. Yeah, so I ended up, what do you call it? I ended up delegating it to other people, but like even something like this was very tedious for me. So I got like, I basically delegated it elsewhere. Being the programmer, having fun with it. References must be initialized. What do you mean references must be initialized? They are? Oh, oops. How about add another parenthesis? I just have a lot of random syntax errors right now. Outsourcing, thank you. Yes, outsourcing. But yeah, there is a lookup array called graphics that I just use to put all the graphics in. So far, like, all the graphics do just kind of fit in memory, but that could change in the future. They're not very large graphics. Specifically, the graphics for maps might be a little iffy because they're very large tile sets. So this is the current build of the game. Do I have, I don't know where my debug console is, but I don't really need that right now. And yeah, so just show some gameplay real quick, I guess. Just a work in progress. Like, this is the chapter 4 area, but the map's been under development for quite a while. Like, we can go into one of my more favorite areas is chapter 3, so we'll just go there real quick. And yeah, it's like a more retro style type of game, right? And this is the ranger class specifically, so you fire arrows from range. And you have these like monsters, they have different like AIs. My character is quite overpowered for the sake of development purposes, but yeah, like obviously you wouldn't be able to like two-shot them, at least at first. It's kind of fun. I like it. I have the music turned off, but I do have a music designer as well, and he is locally, he's local to where I live. That's what I'm trying to say. So we actually work together. Like we got together a few times and just kind of had a little like programming like music jam session, right? To just work on stuff. It best fits on Nintendo Switch. I would love to put this on like a legit console. When I saw this game on what is it called? The Steam Deck, I got super excited. So this game does have native support for the Steam Deck because I took some time to learn the Steam libraries. So like if we look here, it actually says that I'm currently playing the game, and it says like my class and what stage I'm in. So it's like it's got like built-in support for Steam, which is nice. That took a while to add, but it was fun to learn. And so yeah, it's a cute little game. You got like character menus, you can like change equipment if I wasn't in the map. Yeah, cute little game. There's a lot going on. Yeah, we can like change equipment. There's like upgrade systems. This is my test character with 1,000,000 rings in it. So we got 1,000,000 rings that do different things. It's very nice. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Here's our skills list. This is a work in progress, so eventually we'll come back to look at this one. Because you can see if I pull this up and then click here, this needs to close. So we got like overlapping interfaces. That's always fun. And there's no controller support for this tab system yet. This was like just added. What is your stream time? So I usually stream weekdays around, so it's noon in Central Time, USA, until like about 3 or 4 p.m. So I only stream a couple hours a day. I used to work on this game full time, but I found that I kind of got burned out, so I kind of stopped doing that. And now I found a very like good balance, and given how I'm working on it and just my consistency at it, I think the game will be mostly finished by, well, definitely by this year, but aiming for like early third quarter or something. It'll be nice. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I make maps using Tiled. If we go into Tiled real quick, there's a whole project set up where we just work on everything related to this game. So, and then I have something that reads in all that information, right? So this was the overworld map you saw earlier. I can just open up any given stage. You can see we have spawn locations, you have tile collisions, enemy spawns. They're all defined in here. And I don't actually make the maps, my level designer does, my game designer. So yeah. I think I prefer it mostly because I am working with somebody else who has no like programming technical experience. Well, he does. He has some computer experience, but it's like he's not going to be the one like trying to run my latest game builds or anything, right? So I have to make it as easy as possible for us to connect with each other. So yes, every day I do stream. I post in stream announcements when it starts. And I believe on at least Twitch, it just shows my schedule. So I think it's just listed at the bottom as like every day between certain time, right? Let me just check. That is not what I wanted. Oh, Twitch. It's like, I have to go to my like profile page or something. Yeah, so you can see it's here. On days where I don't stream, I usually just mark them as I'm on vacation, right? So you're happy to find friends learning C++. That's good. UI controller support is the worst. Having to translate into physical layout is not fun. I know, right? Tell me about it. And I do have some issues to fix. Oh. It says verify. My website is saying verify. Why is it saying verify? That's not good. I ran into this issue earlier, and I don't know why. I have to figure it out later. I think I am like blocking something I shouldn't be blocking. Because I have something running that blocks IPs automatically, but I think I broke it. So it would be nice to figure out what's wrong with that eventually. Anyway, yeah, I have some issues in my repo that talk about that as well. But yes, that's kind of the basics of my game. Like, yeah, it's just nice, and I don't have a controller on me, but yes, like mapping everything to controllers, like I can do keyboard, like keyboard essentially emulates it, right? But like making everything work for a controller is a pain. But yeah, nice cute little game that we're working on. I've been having a blast with the project and just kind of slow and steady, right? This isn't like my main job or anything. I'm not expecting to make a big income out of this. This is just more for fun, and I just get to work on it when I want to. Like, it doesn't have a timeline, there's no pressure or anything. Just having a good time programming. You're happy? I'm glad you're happy. So yeah, it is almost time to call it though, so let's see if I can quickly get this fixed up. So let's say we are looking at any active lightning bolt. It already has a position, or at least it should have a position relative to the start position. So let's just say pause is now going to be equal to our current position of the lightning bolt emitter, like the start pause. So we'll go ahead and set that, and that'll be the new position of this lightning bolt. And then we need to calculate a new target position. I guess we don't have to change, well, we do have to change this because this is relative. So yeah, then we do essentially the same thing here, and we just say, okay, take this effect and modify its position with a new position. So it's gonna look something like this if I just mess around with this a little bit. And then there's a current pause plus equals. I think that was for my own sake of making... Oh, it's gonna be for drawing the other lines. I see. So we don't really need that per se. Yeah, okay. So really we just need to recreate this part of it when we create the effect again and just adjust these settings. So specifically, the lightning line length is used here, the target angle is used here, and that presumably modifies the angle it points in. Which looks correct. That is the rotation parameter. At least it should be. I don't think this overload is correct. Yeah, it's the rotation parameter. So we're modifying the rotation, the position, and the size parameter for our current pointer. So let's do that. Pause equals this, size equals that, and rotation equals this. I think that's everything we'll need. And then hopefully, that's apparently not a thing. Maybe it's called angle. Rotation. There it is. Okay. And that should do what it needs to do. Current pause is just the start position. And that just moves the lightning bolt to I guess in this case the end pause, which is going to be set by new pause. So that needs to be applied now. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Very good. Okay. And then we're pretty much all set. We'll just have to try it. So we'll try that next time. And I think we'll be happy. And then we have auto cleanup on emit. So we just have to collect all the pointers now. So in here, I guess we will... Ooh, let's see. So the lightning can consist of multiple streaks of it. So it's like, do I just have to recreate it all from scratch? I guess that's the question I have to ask myself now. Is like, a lightning bolt emitter consists of like, sure, we draw one little lightning bolt, but we might draw like multiple going towards its target direction. They kind of all have to go together, like they have to work together. Either that, or I have to create a new one and destroy all the old ones. So that's an interesting idea. Like, after this is all done, collect all of these in a pool of effects. So maybe this turns into like a vector of effects, and each one is a pool or a list of effects. And from there, we destroy all of them at once and recreate a new one. It should look like nothing's changed. I think that's our plan of attack, because I didn't think about the extensions. I'm just like, it would look weird if all of them just pointed towards the target parameter. It wouldn't look like a lightning bolt anymore. It would look like a bunch of lines just pointing to the player. So yeah. Okay, we got a little bit of work to do here tomorrow. I think the brainstorming is good, so we'll just work on that. But I'm glad we have a working build again. I'm glad our unit tests are all passing. And yeah, we're back to more gameplay stuff. So I'm out of time for today. But for those of you that tuned in, thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed the stream. We'll be back tomorrow for some more fun. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.